be more than human. And welcome back to the channel. My name is Joseph Carroll. I write under the pen name J.R. Carroll. And today we are gonna finally get into Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. And this one has been a long time coming. I know that Le Guin is one of my friends, Philip Chase. She is towards the top of his list of writers. He quotes her quite often, and he also quotes her little essay from Poughkeepsie to Elfland, or from Elfland to Poughkeepsie, one of those ways. But I just hadn't got around to reading here because I'm, just all the books, right? And this month, since I'm doing the readathon over with Andrew on Andrew's Wizardly Reads, I was like, this is the perfect time to slot this book in. Not a very long book at all. It's like 230 pages maybe, or something to that effect. But I jumped right into it, and it is such a throwback, but in a great way. This book, I want to say, was originally written in the 60s. And this, she wrote like 3 books pretty close together, and then took like a crazy amount of time, like 18 years off, and then another 11 years off to finish off the series. But it's so crazy. I see different things okay, so I watched The Wheel of Time, the first season, and I thought to myself, man, this is so fantasy generic. Now, I don't know if the books come across that way, but the show did. But it came across as generic fantasy in a bad way. Whereas Earthsea was very stereotypical, all the fantasy stuff. Right? Now, again, this is written 50 years ago or whatnot, but it came across so well. I mean, she doesn't write these long, drawn out descriptions, but everything she does just works. And she it's not like crazy fight scenes or anything, but the messaging in here is great. You got this kid named Ged, right? And all he wants to, he ends up saving his village at the very beginning of this book. Showed an aptitude for magic, and so of course he gets this wizard that comes down and wants to train him, like the older wizards do. But this book turns into a, with great power comes great responsibility.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
And pride goeth before the fall. And, don't have an ego. Like, all these things are mixed together, and they work perfectly for the age at which Ged is at the beginning of this book. From being like 12, 13 to up through becoming a teenager. He doesn't the whole thing works. He doesn't want to take the long road and learn slowly. He wants to go off with all the other wizards and learn real fast. But when he gets there, he's from a small town. Nothing goes on there, and he's around all these people who have magic, have always had magic around them, so he doesn't fit in, and he ends up getting in fights, and he tries to prove how awesome he is, and brings about this darkness that he ends up bringing him down, and then that becomes the the arch enemy throughout this book, and then you have dragons, and you think that the dragon is the worst part, and but he's so clever of how he goes up against this dragon, and then of course, this evil that he put out into the world ends up being, the main villain here. But it's so not typical of what you mostly see within a book where you've seen everything that this book gives you. I mean, one thing I was thinking about coming into this is, Philip has talked about, her essay, and her essay is basically telling you about about don't break the immersion that people have. If you're gonna set a book in, in Elfland, use the archaic prose. So when I was coming into this, I was expecting heavy, super purple prose, super archaic prose. But then I had also heard that this is more at least the first book is kind of for younger people, and the prose were just normal to me. They weren't anything like super purple or anything very very readable. Like I mean, even at a point, some of I would think some of J.K. Rowling's from Harry Potter might be harder to read for kids in that 10-year-old range or whatever than Earthsea. But this would be such a great entry level, and I assume it was an entry level fantasy for a lot of people for years and years. Me being 35 and just reading it now, I enjoyed it. I definitely will go on, and this is a thing that a lot of writers can learn. I mean, she packs a punch into a book that made her a legend in under 250 pages. Like, not every fantasy book needs to be 500-600 plus pages. We can all learn a thing or two from Le Guin here. Yeah, not a big book. Don't want to spoil a lot of it for you. If you haven't read it, definitely go check it out. I will be I will definitely finish Earthsea here in the next 6 months. I say my schedule is not going to be very heavy the next couple months, so I don't know if I'll get to it in the next couple months. But they're all very short, so should be able to just pop right through them. Let me know if you have read Earthsea. What did you think about it? What did you think about Le Guin's reading style? And if you like this, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, check out my Patreon. There's some cool stuff on there. And remember, be more than human.